Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? Kyle back with the Fantasy Headliners, and today's video is all about the player that I believe will be next year's 1.01 and what he needs to do this year to get to it. So we're going to be breaking down several players in today's video, what I think could come from 2022, what they need to do to get to that next level, and there might be a couple guys that surprise you. But before I jump into all of the content, I got to remind you that you got to go get your Fantasy Headliners draft guide right now. You can do it over at thefantasyheadliners.com, or if you want a chance to get a free one, you can do it through Prize Picks. That's right. Head over to Prize Picks, download the app, or go to their website, either one. Create a free account using code word headliners and deposit $20. If you do that, we are going to give you a free draft guide, and you're going to be entered into a drawing to win an autographed Mike Evans cleat. How cool is that? How many of your buddies have an autographed shoe of one of the best wide receivers in football sitting on their shelf at home? How many? None. It would be just you if you end up winning. So head over to prizepicks.com or download the app, create a free account using code word headliners, deposit $20. You got to deposit. Then we're going to send you a free draft guide, and you're going to be entered into the drawing to win this Mike Evans cleat. This is an awesome giveaway. This is very unique. So today's video, as I already mentioned, what players have the best shot to unseat Jonathan Taylor as next year's 1.01. Now, I'm not including Christian McCaffrey because he's already been the 1.01 before. These are all going to be guys that have never reached that height, and essentially they would be stepping into that role where Jonathan Taylor jumped up and became the 1.01 after being, he was like a late first round, early second round pick, I believe, before last season, somewhere in that area. Somebody that would also be jumping up into that area. And again, I've got a dark horse candidate at the end of the video that you're not going to want to miss out on. But let's go ahead, get right into it. The first one's going to be Najee Harris. Probably, if I had to guess, outside of Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, the guys that are already all the way up there, that have been considered maybe 1.01s already. Austin Eckler, number 2 or 3 this season right now. Najee Harris probably has the best opportunity to become the 1.01 next year. And it's very, very easy for him to do. And what is it? It's efficiency. I want to see his efficiency improve this year. Last year, he was 4th in rushing yards with 1,200. He was tied for 3rd with 57 missed tackles forced. I mean, the guy on the ground, when you look at overall volume, that's why he was so good. He had the yards through the air, on the ground. He had the carries. He had the targets. Touchdowns weren't as good as you would have liked to see. But when you take a look at just overall volume, even in an efficiency category like missed tackles forced, he was always good. It's when you got into the efficiency stats that don't necessarily deal with the volume that things start to take a little bit of a turn. Only averaged 3.9 yards per attempt last season. That was tied for 45th among running backs. He only averaged 2.97 yards after contact per attempt. That was 26th. And his breakaway percentage of 16.8 was 43rd in the league. And again, breakaway percentage is based on how many of your yards were picked up on runs of 15 or more yards. So last season, Najee Harris wasn't a guy that was giving you those huge plays. He was giving you that in the run and obviously in the passing game, but the volume just didn't help the efficiency last year. And to be efficient this year, it's going to be tough because his offensive line, I know a lot of Steelers fans out there are going to say, oh, Kyle, you always hate on the Steelers, which I don't. I don't understand that. But they say I always hate on the Steelers, whatever. I'm giving them props. I'm trying to say Najee Harris could be the 1.01 next year. The offensive line and the quarterback situation would really what is holding it back. And that is my concern, is that the offensive line isn't going to be good enough. The quarterback situation isn't going to be good enough. People are going to collapse on the run game, and they're going to try to take away Najee Harris and say, all right, Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, you're going to have to be the one to beat us. That is going to be the thing that would hold Najee Harris back. If things go right, and that doesn't happen, and he can build on the volume from last season and add the efficiency to it, it's going to put him in the Jonathan Taylor area for sure, and he needs to score more touchdowns. That would be Najee Harris's path to become the 1.01. Whew. It felt good to put him in this category. Joe Mixon. Joe, my main man, Mixon. The running back 3 last season with 266 fantasy points, currently going 10 overall, is the running back 7. So how does Joe Mixon become the 1.01 next year? Well, it's all about the passing game work, baby. And I believe all of you would adamantly agree with that. If Joe Mixon became an elite pass catcher out of the backfield, everybody out there, I would assume, would agree with me that yes, that he would be a guy that could become the 1.01. So in the comments down below, if this video gets 1,500 likes, hit the like button right now, and you leave a comment down below answering that question for me. If Joe Mixon started to get elite passing game volume, would you consider him first overall next season? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to pick one of you if the video gets 1,500 likes to give a free draft guide too. So last season, again, the volume was great for him. On the ground, 1,205 rushing yards, 3rd in the league. 13 rushing touchdowns, 4th in the league. The guy did it all on the ground. The volume was there for him. Even in a pass-heavy offense, they were giving him the ball as much as possible. It's the passing game that we need to see a little bit more from Joe Mainman Mixon. Only 47 targets, tied for 26 among running backs. His 42 receptions, tied for 16th. I want you to peep the receiving percentage there, though. Catching 42 of 47 targets. Yes, please. 314 receiving yards. We're 19th in the league among running backs. But it was towards the end of the season. What gave me hope for Joe Mixon? From week 16 through the Super Bowl, okay, he had 35 targets for 31 receptions and 217 yards. So week 16, week 17, week 18, and then his playoff games, okay? So technically over the last 8 weeks of the season, that is where things started to pick up. And he didn't play week 18. If he had played week 18, these numbers may have been a little bit higher, but he didn't even play in week 18. He almost gave his entire week 1 through 15 output in week 16 through the Super Bowl. Now, will that continue? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to continue. We've heard some things out of training camp that, yes, he has been avidly used in passing game drills throughout training camp so far. But we've also heard that they really like Chris Evans. And as a guy that watched a lot of Michigan football, I can tell you that Chris Evans, he has the playmaking ability out of the backfield. Okay, he's not Joe Mixon as a running back. He's more along the lines of a James White-ish type of player with some attributes that might be a little bit more explosive. So will it happen? I don't know, but that's what we're going to have to bank on. The ground volume will be there for him, but if the passing game comes for Joe Mixon this year, that is where things could get out of hand, and Joe Mixon could conceivably be one of the top running backs at the end of the season. Maybe a dark horse candidate, maybe not. DAndre Swift from the Detroit Lions. Now, I like me some DAndre Swift. I actually did a film study on DAndre Swift a while back on the channel, talking about why I believed he was in line for a breakout season. Now, I will say I've been apprehensive to draft him too much, especially when you have to use a first-round pick on him because his current ADP puts him at pick number 12, is the RB8. That's a little spicy for me, just because it is the Detroit Lions. We know that they want to run the football, but we also know, well, I do anyway, that Jamal Williams is a guy there. Dan Campbell loves him. If you watch the first week of Hard Knocks, you see that in there. I tried to tell you all last year that Jamal Williams was going to be a guy, if he was healthy, he was going to get touches. So I believe that we'll see a ton of pass catching work for DAndre Swift this season, but his goal is to become a true workhorse. He needs to become a true workhorse. last year, from weeks 1 through 7, he was the running back 3 with 52 targets, 42 receptions, and 391 receiving yards. But it was work on him. It was his work on the ground that was left to be desired. 78 attempts. He only ran for 262 yards and a 3.36 average. So DAndre Swift, towards the beginning of the season, was getting a ton of pass catching work, and it makes sense, and I love it. But he wasn't doing a whole lot on the ground. And if Jamal Williams is healthy, it is hard for me to imagine that DAndre Swift sees more than 50% of the volume on the ground. And because of that, to me, he's more of like an Austin Eckler from a couple of years ago, where you looked at him and you said you like him and you like what he can do in the passing game, especially for half PPR and full PPR leagues. But do we really think he's a guy that's going to be on the ground used as much as possible? That is why I have been apprehensive of DAndre Swift, because he's just been a little too spicy for me this season at his ADP. But I like him. I like his talent. I think he's a great player. I think he fits in this Detroit Lions offense well. I think he's going to be very good this season. I just don't know if he's going to be as good as where he's being taken. We need to see him step up to becoming a true workhorse. Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams this season was already a guy that was being highly considered as a high-end RB1 before they re-signed Melvin Gordon. So what does Javonte Williams need to do to become the 1.01 next year? Well, it's very, very simple. Okay, he was the RB, that says RB 117. That is inaccurate. He was the RB 17 last season, 183 fantasy points. Right now he's going 16th overall as the RB 9. We've seen him start to drop back a little bit in the ADP. I mean, at one point in time, you had to take him like in the middle of the first round if you started doing drafts really early in the offseason before they re-signed Melvin Gordon. Now you can take him in the second round and probably be okay with it, but do you want to spin that pick? For him to get to RB1, the RB1 status, I think it's possible, but he has to get 75% of the running back snaps, because his efficiency last year was off the charts. Like, he was Nick Chubb-like efficient last season. 63 missed tackles, was second in the league. His 694 yards after contact were 8th. His 3.42 yards after contact per attempt were 10th. He had 25 runs of 10 or more yards, which was 7th. And he had 9 runs of 15 or more yards, which was tied for 10th. He was ultra efficient last season, and a lot of times people will come back to me and be like, Kyle, well, of course he was ultra efficient. He didn't have a ton of volume. Excuse me. We're talking about volume stats here when it comes to efficiency, because 63 missed tackles, that's not exactly efficiency. You have to do that all over and over again. 694 yards, we're not breaking that down. We're not breaking down 25 runs or 10 or more yards, or 9 runs or 15 or more yards. The guy was efficient as heck, even in some of those categories that are volume-based. And if you remember last season, he only had 221 snaps, not carries, snaps, 19th most in the league. Melvin Gordon was right behind him with 218 snaps. So essentially, Javonte Adams did this last season as a true 50-50 running back. Now, for the 2022 season, I do believe we see a little bit larger of a split, and Javonte Williams bumps up, and we see more along the lines of 60% of the snaps coming to him. But for him to reach the type of area that would need to push him in to the running back 1 conversation next year, he would need 75% of the snaps this season at the running back position, because that would then give him the volume that would be needed. It would let him finish as a high-end RB1. It would mean that Melvin Gordon essentially next year, who's on a 1-year deal, would likely be out the door. With the offense that they have there now, Javonte Williams, people would be in on him. Easy. They would be in on him. All right. Here we go. My dark horse candidate to become the 1.01 in 2023, Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, obviously, he's a rookie, so he doesn't have any numbers from last season, so I don't have a ton of statistics to give you on him. This is really just a breakdown feeling of what would need to happen for Kenneth Walker to accelerate to a high-end role. Right now, his current ADP puts him at 90 overall. Puts him at 90 overall, the running back 38. So what would he need to do to become the 1.01? He would need to be the 2021 version of Javonte Williams, because Rashad Penny is in his final year of his contract. Unless Rashad Penny puts together some absolutely crazy season this year, I highly doubt the Seahawks are going to bring him back. And honestly, I highly doubt they bring him back regardless. They're going to have a top pick in 2023, so they can bring in a top-end quarterback. So that's going to be good to look at. And, again, I mentioned it a minute ago, if he has a Javonte Williams like 2021, Williams was like a top 5 pick. People were willing to spend a top 5 pick on Javonte Williams before Melvin Gordon came back. The same thing is going to be said for Kenneth Walker. If Kenneth Walker has a season that is similar to what Javonte Williams did in 2021, Kenneth Walker will be viewed as a top running back draft pick last season. Would he be the 1.01? Probably not, but we know they're going to be running the football quite a bit. We know that Kenneth Walker is going to get his fair amount of touches this season. Now, if Rashad Penny stays healthy, he's probably not going to get close to 60%. It's probably going to be at best a 50-50 split. But for me, looking at Kenneth Walker, if something were to happen to Rashad Penny, Kenneth Walker goes off. Or if Penny's healthy all year for a majority of the year, and Kenneth Walker is just what Javonte Williams was in 2021, Kenneth Walker is a guy that we could absolutely be looking at next season. It's somebody that we take on the high end of the first round. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, breaking down several of my picks to be the top overall fantasy football pick in 2023. Hit the like button for me, because at 1,500 likes, we're going to give away a draft guide. Leave a comment down for me below. My question of the day was about Joe Mixon, so if you skipped over that part, you got to go back and listen to it, because I'll pick one of you if we get to 1,500 likes to win a draft guide. And of course, if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, you've got to subscribe and stick around for all the content. Don't miss out on anything. But I'm going to get out of here. By the time you're watching this, I'm probably partying it up and with Jake, Taylor, Mac, and a lot of members. Oh, Dr. Ethan, I almost forgot about him. Holy cow, he's not gonna be happy when he hears that. And then several members of Headliner Nation who are also meeting up with us that we're gonna be hanging out with all weekend. So hopefully you have a fantastic weekend as well. Peace out, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch you all on the next episode. Felt like my voice squeaked there a little bit, but I'm gonna leave it in, because why not? Of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain. All the channels, not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut, and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation. I'm a headliner.